Hello, tea family. Welcome back to Nonna's Kitchen Secrets. Our live today, we are going to be enjoying some fresh, flavorful tea, but we're going to be doing it in a mocktail. I want everybody to say hello in the chat or comments, depending on which platform you're watching. And then, as always, if you have questions, please put them in the chat or in the comments. Today, we are going to be talking about a tea blend that only makes its appearance during the warmest, sunniest months of the year, and that is Summer Kiss. So today is the first day of June, and therefore it is the first day this is absolutely available. And there you can see that has peaches, it has green tea, and it has red raspberry leaves in it. And that is what we are using today to make a couple of different things. So today is the first day that it's available to the general public. However, if you are a VIP member, you got early access. So you got to pre-order some of the Summer Kiss tea before it became everybody else. But this one is pretty much very beloved. In fact, I have people that ask for it year round because they love peach tea and different things like that. Now, this one, we freeze dry the peaches ourselves. And again, only available June, July, and August. So now is the time we're going to kind of go over some of the ingredients as we say hello. I see Diane. I know my handy dandy assistant drinking Maiden's Blush, another one of my favorite summer blends. And Diane is having a lemon zinger with honey and rosemary. That's awesome. But see, you can really see how big it is. And these are our freeze-dried peaches. Now, because this is a green tea, and because it has a freeze-dried fruit in it, it means you can still brew it 3 times, but you need to have 2 minutes for the first brew, 3 minutes for the second brew, and 4 minutes for the third brew, as opposed to what we normally do with a green tea, because we get that freeze-dried fruit in there. So those big pieces that you saw, I love seeing how big they are. Like I can pick this up. That is real peach. There's no peach flavoring. 100% welcome, Kim. I'm glad you're drinking water. I've done that a time or two myself. Keep drinking all that water. But the red raspberry leaf is going to bring kind of an herby note. It's not going to really bring any bitterness or anything like that. Just like our green tea is actually a jasmine green tea. And so it's going to add a sweetness and a hint of a floral note behind the peach. And that kind of all blends out and rounds out together. It's a tea that is like crisp and fruity, little flirty maybe, but really reminds me of summertime. Now, this is good iced or hot. I have had it both ways. Most of the time I drink my tea hot. It is more rare for me to drink it iced or cooled. But I am going to be doing that today, but we are absolutely going to be doing that in a mocktail. As you can tell, I have got a setup for that. So couple of things, though, about Summer Kiss. I talked about how I brew it for a hot tea. You're going to use that regular rounded teaspoon, that 2.5 grams per 6 to 8 ounces of water. You really want the water to be 175 to 180 degrees. Again, 2 minutes for that first brew because I've got a freeze-dried fruit in there. The other thing that I wanted to say is if I'm making it iced, I am very much of the mindset that I will brew it hot. And then even if I want iced tea, I'm going to then let it cool off naturally, which is actually what I did here in this mug. And there's what it looks like when it's brewed. And a lot of times when I will brew, and I know I say this, but I will brew it all 3 times all at once. And then I will pour some in the ice cube tray. And then I will let that freeze. And that way, if I'm having an iced tea, I don't want it to get watered down. I want it to have that full flavor and not be watery. And so that's one of the things that I will do is I will literally make the batches of tea, let them cool, put them in the ice cube tray, the old-fashioned way that, some of us learned how to make ice cubes before the refrigerators did it for us. But use those ice cube trays, put it in the freezer, let it ice down, and then it's perfect when you add them in. In fact, we have some ice cubes just like that right now. All right. Welcome, Stephanie. Stephanie's also going to have a cool drink today. It just got warm again where we live. It has been in like the 50s to 60s for a while, and all of a sudden now we're back to the nice warm weather. So there's several of us that have decided to go from too cold to too warm and just a little bit too much of the time. So, okay. I have the sun, and I'm going to try and adjust light because I see that crazy effect. It's because I've got the sunlight right behind me and it's creating that weird effect. But anyway, I'm going to give you a hint. Even if you're just drinking it cold when you're not making it into a mocktail like we will be today, I would say feel free to put like a peach slice with it, a sprig of mint, just to dress it up a little bit. I don't always take the time to dress up my teas and things like that, but that's more because I like it kind of, I'm too busy trying to drink it to wait to make it look fancy first. So, all right. So if you want to impress some of your guests that you're having over, or a friend or anything like that, or you just want to treat yourself to something a little special while you're sitting down in what most of my friends will want to be air conditioned, although you notice my windows are all open. Yeah. Is the Summer Kiss Mocktail. Now, I don't have a name for it, okay? I want you all to think carefully and sorry, I just saw Diane's comment that said she has the family recipe for toast. That must mean the handy dandy assistant gave his comment. He always jokes that he knows he has the family recipe for ice cubes. He knows how to make them. So I'm sure that's what happened and I missed. So we're going to make some Summer Kiss Mocktail. We're calling it that because I don't have a name. So feel free to think of some names and put them in there. But this one will be impressive for your guests. It tastes delicious. You'll have people wanting this recipe. So one of the benefits we know about that is because a lot of times we will try these before. All right. So we're going to get started with the mocktail. And we'll see how much of a mess I make today because we all know that I make a mess typically when we do it. I have brewed this tea. This is the Summer Kiss, right like this. And then I brewed it and then I just let it cool. And so you're going to put 1 cup of that. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and tip in a couple of the ice cubes if I can. Okay, we'll put 2 in right there. And I will put the other 2 in the glass. All right. Now, this is actually pretty simple. What I have here is peach nectar. And I have cleaned off the can. Now, this is the nectar. You could use peach juice if you had some peaches and you had some of that wonderful juice. Because you don't really need much. You only need about an ounce. There we go. Now, I do have to say that Rich had a great idea. You could, if you wanted to change up your flavorings just a little bit, you could switch out like nectarine nectar or any kind of tropical fruit would go really, really well with the peaches. Just think about it. Pineapple would. Really those kinds of things that are going to go really well with peaches in general, but also a lot of those. Now, you could also add some fresh lemon juice to this or lemon juice. I don't really want the citrus end of my life ended into this today. Normally I'm a heavy citrus person, but this one I'm not going to add the lemon juice, but you could add a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice here. Now, you could also add club soda, sparkling water, but what I'm going to do instead is I am going to add some ginger ale. And I'm only putting a splash in because we all know that once I go to mix this, it's going to make a huge mess because for whatever reason, whenever I'm on camera, that is exactly what happens. It makes a huge mess. I could practice in my kitchen, no problem. Guess what? As soon as I go online, I'm making a mess. Okay. All right. Just give it a little shake. All right. Now, I didn't add this ginger ale completely in there. You only need about, I don't know, about a half ounce. So really not much. Depends on how bubbly you want it. You could anywhere from an ounce to 2 ounces to whatever you'd like. I want about a half an ounce, maybe 3/4 of an ounce of the ginger ale. That is what I'm adding instead of adding any kind of lemon or lime juice or anything like that. All right, and there it is. You saw it. It's spilled all over. But it looks really pretty. Now this would look even better if I had a really nice slice of peach, which I forgot to grab at the grocery store, to put in top. The other thing you could think of is a peach slice or a mint sprig or anything like that. But that's it. That's all that we have, and that's all we need. I do not think Smish is the right mocktail name. But yeah, you could do strawberries, you could do cranberries. I mean, this would look really pretty with some like, red berries in here and the mint or any of that kind of thing. But like garnish it how you will, make it fancy. Okay, so what do I taste? First, yes, this is actually cherry. This is Bing cherry season, so you could completely do that as well. Okay, when I first start, I taste the tea, and then on the back end there's just an extra little wow of peach. And it's kind of the ginger is not really a huge note from the ginger ale. It's just kind of a adding some complexity. But I will tell you that is really good. I would drink this very, very frequently. And like I said, the peach is not overwhelming here. You could make it peachier by adding more peach nectar or peach juice. You could make it a little more tropical by adding in, like I said, a pineapple nectar or nectarine, nectar, any one of those kind of things, or just a straight juice would add. But I really like how this one it sits because you get that Summer Kiss, the tea itself, like you can taste that blend, and then at the end you just have this little extra push of peach to it. Oh, I really like that. So what would we pair our mocktail with? Everybody ready? You absolutely could do grenadine in this. Grenadine is going to add sweetness, so you're going to really want to be careful about how much. If you were going to add grenadine, I would probably skip the peach nectar, or I would reduce it down to just like maybe 1/4 of an ounce, because otherwise it's just going to become really sweet, unless that's what your palate loves, and then go for it. Okay, so let's talk about food. Tea can live by itself, but it doesn't have to. So what I would recommend, something that's going to be very complimentary. So cucumber mint tea sandwiches, some nice honey almond scones, or that could be almond scones with honey. If I wanted to kind of contrast some of the flavors for this, which is kind of where I typically like, because I like to have complementary but contrasting flavors. A grilled jerk chicken, kind of with the spice, a nice aged Gouda with some cheese, some dark chocolate, especially a dark chocolate with like a hair of sea salt to it. Now, I don't particularly have a lot of dark chocolate with the sea salt just because I'm very sodium conscious, but the dark chocolate and the hint of the sea salt really would work well and have a nice contrasting flavor that's going to bring out the sweetness of the peach without being overwhelming. And, I'm not going to cast any shade on you or anything like that. If your pairing is just a good book and a hammock or a chair out in the sunshine, that counts too. It doesn't have to be matched with something to be delicious. You can just sit back and read your book and enjoy the summer weather now that it's here, before it gets too hot, and just enjoy it that way. All right. Questions. Does anybody have questions about Summer Kiss? Put it here so you all can see it. Trying to arrange everything. I have to remember it's backwards for me on the screen. Okay, so that is a great question. That's no problem. So it has the freeze-dried peaches, it has the jasmine green tea, and it has red raspberry leaves in it, and that's all that's in Summer Kiss. So it is not overly sweet. It is just a lighter, slightly fruity blend to it. And that's what it is. And that's why you could do it. And then, you can do grilled chickens. You could do anything like that. This will stand up to, because you've got kind of this mocktail, you've got the extra peach nectar, and it's going to have a little more peach to it, a little more sweetness to it. That's why I would say things like the jerk chicken or like the aged Gouda or something like that. And of course, I have to have chocolate. Like, what kind of chocolate goes with everything? I would really say that both the tea and the mocktail are really good for just that slow sipping. But that's why, like with the ice cubes, I'd want to have it be that Summer Kiss ice cube so that it doesn't water down my drink as I'm sipping on it. Good question. Thank you. I will say that it is fun to make, but the peaches are a lot of work to prepare. So I am glad that it's only available for 3 months out of the year, because it is a lot of work, but it is so delicious and worth it. And we always get rave reviews. Like I said, a lot of people talk about this is their summer tea because they like having something lighter and things like that. So other questions about Summer Kiss or anything else, that's okay too. This one is not new. So the question is this a new tea blend? They hadn't tried it before. It is not. It came out. I know we had it last year. I think it was new from last summer. And I think it came out in July, for like July and August, because we were trying a peach tea. And again, we were trying for a peach tea that was not overwhelming, that is a lighter peach flavor, not an over the top peach juice or peach nectar. Like, this is going to be over the top peach flavor, lots of sugar, whereas this is going to be a very gentle, light peach flavor to the tea. But nope, it's almost a year old. I think we brought it out right around the 4th of July last year. We did have another peach blend that we did create, so that's what Rich is asking me about. But it was a custom tea blend that we made a couple of years ago. That's been a couple of years, and they created it and they named it Peachy Keen. Theirs is different. Theirs is a completely caffeine free, and it has some rooibos and a different sense of flavorings in there. So, but yeah, this one is just really light. And that's why I kind of like the way of the pairings. I have to say, this is the one that I would probably have. This or Maiden's Blush is probably what I would have if we were having a traditional, what in New England we would call a cookout, what in Texas we would call a barbecue, what in the Southeast we would talk about grilling out, with like the grilled corn and the grilled chicken and the hamburgers and the hot dogs when you have a bunch of people over, and there's like 15 bajillion kinds of potato salad. This is what I would want to bring to that to drink, as opposed to like a punch or a Kool-Aid or anything like that, because it's just really light but has some of those wonderful summer peach flavors to it. And that's another thing, because you've got the peach. Peach is going to do really well with a lot of those barbecue kinds of flavors. The spices that you get over there, they're going to really contrast and complement the lightness of this particular tea blend, and bring a new depth of flavor. In fact, a lot of times, I won't tell you me because it would probably be weeks of our lives, but we used to watch, was it American barbecue competitions all the time. Like they would have, like that's all that channel would play for pretty much 24 hours. And I think we watched every episode. In fact, I even met a couple of the people that have won like the top award. They came in #1 for the whole season. And a lot of them will grill out or barbecue or smoke with a peach wood because they love this kind of peach and barbecue combination flavor. So, yeah, they want that peach wood smoke. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, I would say that if you like this one, feel free to share it, like this video and share it with your friends. Next Sunday, we're going to be talking about something that's actually pretty important. We're going to be talking about 2 things. One of them is the tea kettles that we use. I know I had talked about this before, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth with tea kettles and teas. And then the other one, I'm going to keep a secret, but I will promise you that it is absolutely an essential for your tea. So if nobody else has any questions, we're going to get going, and because it's a busy week ahead for us. And so I want everybody to stay cool if you're here enjoying heat for the first time, which can be a little overwhelming going from the 60s to the almost 90s, and enjoy your tea. If you want this recipe because you didn't get it during the video, no problem. Just reach out. I'm happy to email it to you. And I will see everybody next week when we'll be talking about tea kettles and one other absolute essential for your tea. All right. I will see everybody next week.
Bye.
Have a good one.